Alright guys, just got to the dyno shop. It's 2 weeks before LS Fest, so time crunch begins. Realistically, we only have like 9 or 10 days. These cars got to be ready to go. I don't do any type of scheduling when it comes to this stuff. At this point in time, when we're this close to LS Fest, too many guys trying to rush their combinations together. They'll try to schedule appointments and have the appointments tied up, but then realistically they can't make their deadline. So at this point on, usually 2 or 3 weeks before LS Fest, I'll tell everybody, look, no more scheduling. Just get your car ready, get it to me, and as long as you get it to me and you give me some time, I'll have it done before LS Fest. So show up this morning, got a couple cars here waiting, a couple of them under covers. So I guess it's kind of like Christmas morning. Let's unwrap them and see what we got to work on today. We got a GTO. So it looks like we got a GTO with an LSA combination. I do remember this customer calling me earlier in the week. Talked to him, I think either yesterday or the day before, and just had him drop it off. This car is going to be a stock bottom end LS3. It's got a aftermarket camshaft. I'll have to look through the specs and figure out what it has. It looks like it's got the new BTR valve covers on it. See, we've got a 102 throttle body. Drive-by cable, that's one of the Chinese brand throttle bodies. So it's one of those where it's gonna take a little extra tuning. Hopefully everything works out good on it, but Motion Raceworks catch can. Everything looks good. Got our 2.5 bar map sensor on there. IAT is hooked up. Looks like all of the plug wires are clear, which is good. That's one of my biggest issues, is having burnt plug wires onto header primaries. Everything looks pretty clean though. Looks like we got a return style fuel pressure regulator in there. So we'll have to set fuel pressure on it. Vacuum reference is on there. 6 rib setup. Looks like we got a 238 upper. It's hard to tell, but it looks like we got a factory lower under there. Good size heat exchanger. So yeah, combination looks good. This thing should already have a set of BR70Fs. So I'll go back through and double check text messages and make sure that we do. So I don't see any transmission dipsticks. So yep, it's a stick shift. Cool. So this one should be a good one to tune. We'll start working on it today. Not sure if we'll get it on the dyno today or not. Hopefully we do, because I'd like to get this one out the door and get it back to the customer so he can make sure everything is solid for LS Fest. So we'll get to work on this, and I will reveal a couple more vehicles as the day goes on. All right, just jumped in the GTO, about to pull it in the shop. We got another GTO where the e-brake works. That's kind of a shock. So this thing's on a base file. I sent it to the customer maybe a week ago. Obviously it does have the Chinese 102 on it, and we're gonna do a cold start. I think this thing is on E85 right now. So let's see if this base tune does okay. Well, it starts. Struggling to find idle. That is pretty normal on these 102s. I don't know if you can hear it in the video or not, but the IAC motor is screaming, which means that we probably need to open up the blade angle some. But hey, it starts and runs. We're actually chilling right now. Air fuel ratio, actually the Lambda looks pretty decent. Can't remember if I got this thing in open loop or not right now. Usually I'll send out a base file in open loop if I think they're not going to have full exhaust on there. But anyways, let's get this thing back into the shop, and we'll look it over some more. Step number one, let's plug our MPVI 3 into the OBD2 port. Pretty simple, most guys can understand that. But just in case you need to know where it's at on GTO, it's straight ahead. Looks like center of the knee bolster. All right guys, so we're in the car. MPVI 3 is plugged in. Got our HPtuners software opened up, so let's go ahead and cut this key on. And you're gonna go up to the top to this green arrow. And I'm going to show you how I do a read on a P59 GTO. So this ECU is the older style ECU that the trucks used to use. P59s are known to brick, meaning that they're just going to render them useless. That's primarily because of voltage issues and how you read it out. So 03 to 06 trucks, you have to read out in low speed, which is the automatic setting from HPtuners. On the GTOs, I want to read it out in high speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to gather info. We're going to click this. HPtuners is going to pull up the VIN number. It's going to get everything set up and ready for us to read it out. Once that's done, you're going to see a use high speed button pop up, and we're going to check it, and then we're going to read it. So here we go. We've got use high speed. We're going to click read, and now the car is going to read out the file. So it's going to take it 3.5 minutes or so. So I'll be right back with you. Alright, so the read's about ready to wrap up. Once this has wrapped up, you're going to see a pop-up to where it's going to give us the opportunity to save the file. This one I'm just going to save as a generic name, and I'll eventually move it over into the customers folder once I'm done, but for right now this is just for obviously for teaching purposes. So to get logged into the vehicle, you are going to click this blue car button. It's going to go through, it's going to figure out what channels it can and can't use. I'll do a video on how to add channels one day, and we'll figure out what channels are going to work good for the P59s versus what's good on the E40s, all those different style of ECUs. Once this has pulled up all of my channels, I'm going to click the red button to start recording, and the first thing I want to do is I want to check where TPS voltage is. These 102 throttle bodies are known for needing a lot of blade angle. You can't adjust the TPS by clocking the TPS on these, so we actually adjust TPS voltage by opening up the throttle blade. The maximum amount of TPS voltage that you can have on a GM P59 ECU or any type of drive-by cable ECU is 0.8 volts. So we want to stay below that. At 0.8 volts, the ECU will no longer run its PID idle routine for the idle air control valve, and it will no longer actually control idle with timing. So this car will probably end up wanting right around 0.7, 0.75 volts, but we're going to start recording and see where our voltage is at now and what kind of adjustments we're going to need to make. So we're going to click the record button, and you're going to see right here I've got TPS voltage. It's at 0.47 volts. So that's probably going to be a little bit low, but what we can do is let's start up the car. Move my laptop out of the way. Start up the car, see where the idle counts are. Ideally we want hot idle counts to be right around 40 to 60 counts. If I had to guess with the way this IAC motor is screaming, we're probably at 310, 300, somewhere too high. So we'll end up opening up the blade angle. So anyways, let's start it up and we'll check IAC counts. Alright, we're going to let this idle stabilize. I'm going to roll up these windows because this car's a little bit loud. Idle is stabilized. It's showing 0.45 volts. So we're going to come down here to idle air control position. We're at 258 counts right now, and you can see that the car is adding 3.8 grams a second of airflow to get to that point. So we are way high on idle air control counts. So I'm going to adjust this IAC valve, and then we'll go from there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start off at like 0.65 volts. I have to reflash the car. So anytime you make a TPS adjustment, you have to do a TPS reset. Well, the quickest way to do it, if you have HP-tuners obviously, is going to be to send the file in again. So I'll just reflash in the same file I just read out, and that will reset the TPS voltage. So I'll start off at 0.65. We'll get the car warmed up. We'll see where IAC counts are, and we'll try to get these IAC counts, like I said, to 40 or 60 hot. So anyways, I'm going to make that adjustment, and I'll get right back to you. All right, guys. So tuning hack. You notice how my laptop is sitting on top of that blower? 10-foot cable. It's USB to USB-C. Get you one. Do yourself a favor. It's so nice to be able just to put my laptop wherever and not have to worry about being tied down with a cable. Anyways, got my 4mm. I'm gonna go adjust this TPS. All right, so ignition's on. We're gonna go in and connect to the car. We're gonna hit this record button when it pops up. All right, this is where we're making our adjustment. Notice the little 4mm screw right there? That's where we're gonna make our adjustment. If you watch that TPS voltage, you'll see it increasing. So we're gonna go up to like 0.65 or so, and see where we're at from there. All right, so now we'll start the car and check IAC counts. All right, and we just got done adjusting that TPS voltage for the first time. I said we're gonna go and start the car and check IAC counts, but I forgot my first step. Obviously new at making videos, but flash the tune in first. Just whatever tune you had in the car, reflash it in, and that'll do the TPS reset. Otherwise, what you have to do is you key it on, you unplug the IAC valve, you unplug the TPS, leave the ignition on for a couple of seconds, key it off, key it back on, key it off, and then plug everything back in, and that'll do a TPS reset also. But it's way easier just to flash in the tune. So that's what I'm gonna do first. Then we'll check IAC counts. All right, back in the car. Let's check these IAC counts. So remember, blue car, red circle for record, check TPS voltage. We're gonna start it up. We're gonna check IAC counts. Like I said, the car's not warmed up right now. I'm gonna look for 40 to 60 hot. Each application is going to be different, but as a stick shift car, that's just what I like to be, is 40 to 60 counts hot. So we're going to start recording. Car started. You'll see as vacuum pulls on that throttle blade. Remember, we were at 0.65, now we're at 0.61. That's one of the reasons why these Chinese throttle blades aren't the greatest. There's some slop in the blade, some slop in the bar that holds the blades. There's usually even a little bit of vacuum leaks there, but even right now I can hear that the IAC valve is not screaming as bad as what it was. So we're going to check these counts, and these counts we're looking no, they're going all the way to 0. So I think we're going to probably end up with some vacuum leaks to this throttle body for some reason. I'll try to split the difference. We were at 47. Let's try, like, I don't know, 53. But usually they're not this sensitive, so this thing may have a little extra play in it, meaning that this throttle body will probably end up being temporary. Anyways, I'll make the adjustment. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so made the adjustment. If you look, we're at 0.55, and we're still, our air control valve is still at 0. So I can try to split it again, but that's how temperamental these throttle bodies are. Even the smallest little change goes from one end of the spectrum to the other. This is why tuners don't like them, and this is why you're going to have drivability issues, is because the car is just, the IAC passage is just not set up correctly. So anyways, I'm going to make that adjustment. I got to obviously throw my laptop on the charger, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, the saga of the 102 throttle body continues. If you can see now, we're now up to 1:21 p.m. in the afternoon. Car's still sitting right where y'all saw me pull it up to. The car has not gone on the 4-post, that has not gone on the dyno. So what I want you to look at is idle air control position still 0. As this thing got warm, I had to continue to keep backing down the TPS voltage to the point we're down to 0.33. Throttle stop screw is basically falling out. And I don't know if you can hear it, but the IAC is still squalling its ass off. So basically what's happening is I'm assuming that the IAC valve is not sealing correctly to the seat inside of the throttle body. I have called the customer and let him know. We already knew this. He actually has a 90mm Nick Williams drive-by cable throttle body that, like, in hand. But he did not have, for whatever reason, I guess with the way this blower was ported, it needed some type of adapter plate to get it to actually be able to seal up. So he had ordered an adapter, and the adapter just hadn't come in. So I told him, I was like, man, you know, it's got a Chinese 102 on it. I don't like them, but I can 99% of the time make them run and drive and do okay. Sometimes the cold start isn't the greatest. But you know, usually you can actually do some port work on the throttle body on the Chinese 102s and get them to where they're happy. This one, like I said, I'm not even going to waste my time trying to take it apart and find the leaks. It's not worth it because he has another throttle body. I'm assuming there is throttle shaft play causing vacuum leak. Don't know that for a fact, but like I said, as you can see, basically what I've done, I'll go and show you in this tune. So we're going to go into our adaptive idle. And this is basically what controls the idle. So if you get an idle dip, it'll open up the throttle, the idle control valve, and obviously if it goes high, it'll pull it down. I've maxed these things out. I've zeroed everything out. The ECU is not in control of the idle air control motor right now. I've also pinned the idle air control airflow to 0, just as a test. I wanted it to force the IAC closed. So again, right now the IAC is sitting at 0. We're literally like, the car it's just not happy. So right now the only reason why the car is even maintaining an idle is obviously because of what would be a vacuum leak, and because I'm using timing control right now. I got kind of aggressive with the timing settings, That's usually what you all hear whenever you'll hear a car, an LS chop. But right now I'm just using timing to control the idle. Timing's actually faster for idle control anyways. That's why the LS is kind of known to have that chop sound, because you're adding and subtracting timing. So if you're watching Spark here, you're seeing it chop around. But anyways, that's where we're at right now. So I hate to end you guys off on this car with no dyno pulls, but that's my life. If y'all want life of being a tuner, this is a life. We'll get a car, we'll try to get it working. We put as much effort in as possible. Once we realize that we're fighting a losing battle, we will just no longer tune the car until the car is fixed. So again, this car's not leaving. I'm gonna pull it outside. The customer's from Kentucky. I'll let the engine cool off, throw the car cover back on here. He's gonna drive down here, swap throttle body out, and then I'll get to work again. So the adapter's supposed to be in hopefully later today. If we can get it swapped out tonight, I could be back on it tuning tomorrow or Thursday. Friday I'm not gonna be here because obviously I'm going to Cleveland Cars Bristol. So anyways, gonna walk outside and see what other cars I have available, and I'll be right back with you. All right, so on to vehicle number 2. This one's a 99 Chevy Silverado with 4L60E in it. It's been to a tuning shop and a transmission shop. The truck has transmission issues. The transmission shop is blaming the tuning shop. The tuning shop's blaming the transmission shop. So this customer knows that I'm pretty familiar with truck tuning. So he wants me to just kind of look at it and see what I think. It's kind of like, I don't know if y'all have ever heard the fights between engine builders and transmission builders about the thrust bearing. But it's probably like, if I can find the meme, I'm sure it's something that Cameron Powers from Sloppy Mechanics would have posted. But if I find the meme, I'll put it up in the screen right now. Anyway, so yeah, I'll show you the truck and let's get to doing the read file and get to doing some diag. A lot of guys don't understand that the majority of tuning is diagnostics. I'd say it's probably 90% diagnostics, 10% actually understanding how to tune. The best thing you can do is understand the principles of an engine, how an engine works, and then go from there. So anyways, let's get to doing this read file and see if we can figure this thing out. You are probably gonna get real tired of watching me do these reads. But anyways, 9902 Silverado, OBD2 port, super easy to access. You may have to push the parking brake down a little bit. If the parking brake doesn't go to the floor when you do that, because everybody knows it's got a 9902 truck that it's rare to have a parking brake that actually does something, and his actually seems to work, which is very, very, very shocking. Anyways, OBD2 ports right here. This is a 9902 P01 model truck. We don't really have any issues with these things breaking. So just like the GTO, I'm gonna hit gather info. I'm gonna click the high speed read button and we're gonna read it out fast, and then I'll pull up the tune file and we'll go from there. All right guys, so guess what? Went through the messages with the customer and this one's been throwing TPS codes. Y'all starting to catch on to the pattern yet? Anyways, all right, so we're gonna turn this key on. We're gonna log TPS voltage again. Haven't even popped the hood on this thing yet. I literally just ran inside, grabbed a quick drink, walked back outside, checked my messages, and before we call and talk to the customer or do anything else, TPS voltage is what we need to check. I don't remember if this thing's got an aftermarket throttle body on it or not, but I will say 9902 trucks are known for having a bad TPS harness. A lot of guys will go to the parts store and grab a TPS, which first off, please stop going to the parts store to get your electrical components like that. TPS, mass airflow sensor, oxygen sensors, all that stuff, get it from GM, AC Delco. Rock Auto is super cheap. Amazon obviously is cheap. Just grab some GM stuff. I've had a ton of issues with parts store TPSs as well. But anyways, a lot of times I'll go to the parts store, grab a TPS, vehicle still has the issue, nobody thinks to replace the harness. I'll show you when we get under the hood, but as some of you guys may know, harness comes around, it does that extreme like almost 180 degree turn into the TPS connector, and it just puts a lot of wear on those connectors. So anyways, clicking the record button, we're going to check TPS voltage, and what do you know, 0.08. So not only is there an upper threshold of 0.8, but there really is a lower threshold. I've never found it 100% to be able to tell you it's exactly a certain number, but I'll tell you that the stock threshold, we can actually pull it up. We'll go in our tune, and it's under engine diag and then airflow, and you'll see this TPS low fail is 0.2 volts. So obviously we're at 0.08. Tune is at 0.2, so either we have a wiring issue, TPS issue, or this thing's got an aftermarket throttle body on it. Your guess is as good as mine. We're going to find out. Let's go check it out. Pretty sure y'all already know. Yeah, this one's gonna be an easy fix. Basically the same kind of fix as what the GTO had. Let me show you. All right guys, heads up. You will notice that is not stock. That is Phytech. I'm not sure how much you guys are familiar with Phytech. Personally, I haven't had any good parts from them ever. I have noticed though that there is what appears to be like maybe a second hole that could be used for TPS. That would adjust the TPS voltage in the happy spot. It looks like somebody's been digging around too much on either Amazon or the parts store. Again, this is not a customer issue. Customer's super cool dude, just takes it to shops and has them fix it. So it's not his fault. He just does what people tell him, and that's honestly one of my biggest issues right now is so this kind of brings up a valid point. Do research on the shops that you're having work on your vehicles. So many shops realize how profitable it is to work on LSs and do LS swaps and LT swaps that they give bad information, or they themselves are the guys looking on Facebook for advice. And I don't want y'all to think that I'm faulting anybody for trying to get help. But what I do fault people for is shops improperly displaying their capabilities. There's absolutely nothing wrong with learning this stuff. There's nothing wrong with owning a shop and trying to figure this stuff out. But you need to be honest with your customers about your capabilities. If you tell a customer, hey, I've never done this, let's do some research on it and go from there, more power to you. That's how it's supposed to be done. But too many of these shops just get in, they start pointing fingers at different places, and then nobody knows who to point their fingers at because there's been so many people touching the vehicle that the customer doesn't even realize what he's got done to his vehicle anymore. It's one of those things where we've got to do better, and that's one of my main reasons for starting this channel, is actually just to inform my customers and my friends and my fellow car guys or car people that you can research this stuff and get it done correctly, and that your vehicles aren't going to be as problematic as what you may be dealing with right now. It's bad information. A lot of guys get on Facebook, and I'll tell you right now, guys will get on YouTube or wherever, which again, doing their research, great, but they'll get on there, they'll piece and part together the cheapest turbo kit or the cheapest cam kit, or they'll spend, we'll say 20 hours worth of research trying to figure out their vehicle, and then they get on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok and they start to act like they're the doctors. They're the ones that know better. So they're constantly on there, and they're the loudest ones of the bunch too, constantly on there preaching to everybody what they need to do with their own vehicles when they themselves don't actually even know. So again, not trying to harp on anybody, but this is the biggest reason why we're having issues in the car world, and it's getting worse. That's why I wanted to start teaching this stuff, and that's why I don't mind putting this information out here, because every day there's always something else that I learn. But if I end up ceasing to doing this one day, I don't want this information to go unused. I'd rather you guys be able to use it. That way, honestly, with the way our country's going right now, everybody may have to be DIYers from here on out on hot rods. So anyways, got sidetracked on that rant. Anyways, forgot to tell you guys what the actual fix for this truck needs to be. I'm going to contact the customer and let him know, let him make his decision. So the Phytech throttle body itself, if the truck runs and drives and idles and he's happy with how it is, all he really needs to do is reclock that TPS. That second set of bolt holes may fix it. As y'all saw, it's at 0.08 volts. And as I've showed you twice today on how to check TPS volts, we just need to go over 0.2 when it's at closed throttle. The other fix for it, and this is honestly the better fix, I try to preach this to guys, 4.8, 5.3 guys, 6-liter guys. When you're doing these TBSS throttle bodies, whether it be your drive-by cable guys or your drive-by wire guys, you don't need that 92 or 90 or 87 millimeter throttle body. You don't. So many guys have back-to-back tested it. These engines at this cubic inch, unless you're putting some insanely large camshaft, like you're going to do something that say 228 degrees duration or bigger, then maybe I could see it. But you guys that are running the truck cams, or the baby cams, whether it be the Dr. Tunemal NK Performance Zero Trucks Given cam, if you're messing with the Truck Norris cam, the Chopacabra cam, any of those camshafts, do the TBSS intake if you want. get the little 3-bolt to 4-bolt adapter that's on Amazon. And also when you're getting that adapter, make sure you are getting the one for drive-by-wire or drive-by cable. There are 2 different styles. Drive-by cable has the IAC passage milled out. The drive-by-wire does not. But anyways, do that. Put your stock throttle body on there. These X-Links, they're I'd say I'm at probably we'll say 55 or 60% success rate with them. It's just a hassle for me. It's a hassle for you guys. Any of my customers, once they get to the point where I'm pretty much just worried about throttle body tuning, I have to charge extra labor, because I mean that's extra hours. Now the GTO I probably won't, but it's just one of those things where stock is always going to be best. Now the AC compressor's back off. But yeah, I'm probably going to end the video off here. I'm going to look around the parking lot and see what else is here. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll usually hang out here till 4:30 or 5, then I usually get home, help my son with homework, cook dinner, whatever, and then I'll get online and obviously either post videos, edit videos, we're doing homework, or just normal family life. But anyways, so I'm gonna see if I have something else quick here. If not, then I will leave the shop and go find something else to do. So anyways, guys, let me know if I need to do anything in these videos. Thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking like. Thanks for commenting. Compressor again. Peace out. See y'all tomorrow.